sitting here with the founder and CEO of Fou-Dre Vodka, as well as the founder of the Black-owned Wine and Spirits Festival in Washington, D.C., Miss Chanel Turner. So excited to chat with you today.
Thank you first and foremost for having me on your show today. I appreciate it. I am humbled by the fact that you chose me. I've seen several of your interviews, and first of all, what you're doing is amazing. Just highlighting entrepreneurs in this space, having one-on-one chats with them, learning about their brand, exposing their brand to your audience. That we need to do more of that. So thank you for that. Thank you for allowing me to be on your platform to speak a little bit about my brand and a little bit about what we do here.
Absolutely. So happy to chat with you today. So tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me a little bit about Fou-Dre and how it got started.
Okay. So a little bit of background on me. I moved to the Washington, D.C. area on a full scholarship to play basketball at Bowie State. BSU.
Bowie Bulldog.
Yes, BSU in the building. And upon graduating college, I decided to stick around the DC area. I got a job in government contracting, doing IT work. And in the mix of working my full-time job, I came up with the craziest idea to start my own vodka line. I say the craziest idea because literally it was an idea that was born amongst peers of mine over a game of spades. I mean, you can't get any blacker than that. But literally, we were consuming alcohol, and we just did not enjoy drinking vodka straight, and we ran out of chaser. And of course, it was a long night of spades. Everybody was too inebriated to go get more chaser. And so that made the night for us end as far as drinking is concerned, because nobody wanted to drink what we had straight. And the idea was born about how many spirits out there today can you drink straight and actually enjoy? It would be great if we had a vodka, right? Most people, when they think about vodka, they think about if Russia doesn't come to mind, then they think about the first thing they're gonna mix it with: vodka and cranberry, vodka and OJ. Nobody ever thinks about vodka and say, "Yeah, can I get a vodka on the rocks?" You might get gin, you might get your whiskeys, your cognacs, but vodka is not something that people really it really resonates as something that they want to drink straight. So I wanted to create a vodka that was still 80 proof, that you can consume neat or over ice, but it also can complement any cocktails that you decide to make with it. So that's how Fou-Dre was born.
Wow, I love that story because it's so organic. I mean, how many times, you're right, like vodka is not something that we think like, oh, let me drink that on the rocks. It's always like mixed with something.
Right.
And I would agree that Fou-Dre tastes amazing by itself.
Yes, we call it the over ice experience, because you can literally just pour it over ice and experience it that way and actually enjoy it. So that's how it evolved. But the name itself, Fou-Dre, is a play on the French word for lightning, hence the bottle is a lightning bolt. The bottle is actually made in France. We went all over the world to find a glass manufacturer to make our bottle, and we stumbled upon Sabre Glass in France. No one really wanted to create such a unique bottle that we have, and they were the ones that said, "Hey, if anybody's going to be the first to do it, we want to be the first." So they decided to take on our project and create such a magnificent decanter for our vodka. So it is definitely, an eye catcher. When people walk in the store, they look at it, they want to know, what is this? What does it taste like? Does it taste as good as it looks, or is it just a fancy packaging? And people come to realize that it's actually a great quality spirit, and it's actually just wrapped in a very pretty bow. So.
Yes, and I would agree. Like if you see your bottle in the stores, it's like, oh, what's this? I mean, I love the marketing piece of that, and not to mention you also have a great product to boot. So what did your family and friends say when you're like, oh, I want to start my own vodka? How did that turn out?
It's funny. My mom thought I was crazy. But the one thing that I can say about my mother is that she supports any of my ideas, whether they be crazy or ones that are fully flushed out and thought out. My friends, they know me as an individual that likes to go against the grain. They know me as someone that really there's nothing that's too challenging for me. So here it is now. I will say this. I entered into an industry that I had little to no knowledge about. So I had to kind of pay to learn. I'm not gonna make it seem like it was an easy bout, because it wasn't, and it still isn't. But they definitely supported me in my decision making to get into such an industry. But my mother definitely thought it was crazy. I remember my uncle telling me one time, like, of all things, why liquor? Liquor is probably, there's so much competition. How do you feel like you're going to carve out your niche in this very big market? And my answer for him was, it's a big pie, and everybody, it's enough there for everybody to eat. My goal is not to oversaturate any market with my product. My product is what we consider a boutique vodka. So we don't aim to be in every store. That's not our goal. When you think about a boutique, you think about, you walk into that boutique, you find things that are very only unique to that boutique, right? You're not going to walk down the street like H&M and see everybody wearing the same thing, right? It's going to be something very unique to that designer, that boutique. And so that's how we look at Fou-Dre. You're going to search high and low to find you a bottle because it's just that good. And you don't mind doing that, actually, because of the quality of the spirit. So yeah.
Yes, I love you hearing you create this demand for Fou-Dre. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you take that idea and make it reality?
Therein lies some challenges there, right? You have to find the right manufacturer that understands your vision behind what you're trying to do. I looked at 3 different distilleries, and when I finally found one that understood my vision, then I paid a visit to that distillery, which happens to be our distillery today. I went to North Charleston, South Carolina, to the Terra Cintia Corporation, sat down with the CEO at the time, and kind of laid out my plan, my vision, and they felt like they were the ones that can really execute it. It took a while. It took about 6 months before we actually found a formula that I was happy with, but not only me, right? We went through 87 formulas before we chose the one that's in the bottle.
Wow.
But on top of that, okay, so they send us different formulas, and we decide on whether or not we want to move forward with this formula or not. I'm sorry. The issue is, just because I like it, that doesn't mean the consumer is going to like it, right? So what we had to do is we had to conduct 2 focus groups. And the first one was a very small focus group. We only had 50 people, and we put our vodka up against Absolute, Grey Goose, Belvedere, and Syrah at the time. And so in that focus group, just from a blind taste test, 49 out of 50 chose our product over the other brands.
Wow.
Right? Wow. So then we did a second focus group. We expanded it. It was 100, and we did taste and packaging. And then 100 out of 100 chose our packaging over everybody else. And the questions that we would ask would kind of, determine whether or not they would purchase this bottle based on how it looks. So 100 out of 100 chose that. And then the second focus group, 98 out of 100 chose our product over everything else. So that gave us validation enough that the formula, the 87 formula, was the one we can actually go to market with, because, we hired a company to do the focus group. These are people who are what they consider vodka drinkers. They when you do these focus groups and you hire these companies, they want to know what exactly you're looking for. And so I don't want somebody who doesn't like vodka, but they like to drink, but they don't like vodka. They're not the type of person that I would like to be my focus group. So we kind of identified what type of people we were looking for. So we wanted people who their drink of choice was vodka, because if your drink of choice is vodka, then you're not biased, right? So that's pretty much how it went. And so when they chose our product out of the 2 focus groups, when they chose that formula, we decided this is the one. This is the one we're actually going to go to market with. This is the one that we feel like will give everybody else a run for their money. So
So did you think about like your target demographic when you did these focus groups?
You know, at that time, not so much as we did when we actually had samples to actually put out in the market, right? That's when we kind of realized who our target market really was going to be. When I first started creating this product, I was 25 years old. So obviously I'm looking at people my age, between 21 to say 30, right? And what I realized is with my product, people who are 35 and up, maybe, skewing like 40 and up, they want high quality spirits. When they were in their younger days, they might have drank the cheap stuff because it's not about that when you're younger. But as you get older, you want something that's better for your body, obviously, that won't make you sick. You got to go to work the next day. So, right. So we're realizing that our target demographic are those who care about what they're putting in their bodies now more so at this age versus 25. Nobody really cares. They just want to get drunk. And so that's not who our consumer is. That's not who our target consumer is. But we had to realize that over time. As a young person starting a vodka brand, of course, I want to go after the young generation. But the young generation doesn't understand or did not understand what we were trying to accomplish, right? Quality over quantity. And so because we had a great quality product, that didn't matter to them. They were just like, well, how much does it cost?
Right.
So I could get a gallon of this for $10 and your vodka is $40. It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah.
So they'll eventually be customers one day.
They will eventually become customers one day. I can agree to that. Yes.
Absolutely. So I love to ask the Black spirit owners I interview about the capital piece, because I feel like most people have that question. It's like, we don't have access to that capital. I don't have $50,000 in the bank where I can be like, oh, let me start my own spirit brand. Was that a challenge for you? And if so, how did you overcome it?
That is definitely a challenge, and it's an ongoing challenge, right? The spirit industry is an industry that takes millions and millions of dollars to, properly market and promote the products across the United States, right? But just imagine just trying to promote your product in one market in itself, and the type of capital that it takes to do that, and then multiply that across the many different markets. You got to think about these major brands. They have very deep pockets to be able to run certain campaigns nationally. Whereas the smaller brands, they don't really have access to that capital to be able to do such marketing campaigns on that level. So yes, it was definitely a challenge. I started this company on money that was left to me by my grandfather. I tapped into my mother when things got a little rough. So the one good thing I can say is that we don't have any debt. Right? I mean, but the downside to all that is in order for us to really grow to the heights that we're trying to get to, we're going to need that kind of working capital to really market and promote the brand. And unfortunately, that's very hard to come by. It really, really is. And I see that not just with my brand, but with many other brands. That's the biggest struggle I think that we all face. Yeah.
Wow. I thank you for sharing that. Because I do think, as Black people, generational wealth is hard for us to come by. So, when we get those inheritances, it's imperative that we bet on ourselves, especially if you have this entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
You want to make your own dreams happen. So thank you for doing that.
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, we're not here to carry out. Let me not say that, but I was going to say, we're not here to carry out someone else's dreams. I mean, we have dreams of our own that we're trying to make happen. And if we are afforded even just the smallest opportunity to do that, we should definitely, by all means, make the attempt. And then, surround ourselves with individuals that's going to help us along the way. So I'm thankful for my mom for that, because when I ran out of money, I was able to tap into her. I can never repay her back, but one day I hope to. So.
Moms always hold it down.
Of course.
So I actually interviewed, so I'll start here. You started the Black-owned Wine and Spirits Festival.
Yes.
And this year was my first year going, and I had no expectations. I didn't know what to expect. I'm just walking in like, oh, this will be fun. Right. And I walked in and I was like, wow, there are a lot of Black spirit owners. I really had no idea that there were that many Black spirit owners, because you see Black wineries and wine owners, but not necessarily like tequila, vodka, whiskeys. And I was like really surprised.
Yes.
So tell me like how you got that started, what made you want to start this, how many years has it been going on, and anything else you want to share?
Most definitely. So Bowls Fest, we call it Bowls Fest, the Black Owned Wine and Spirits Festival. This year would have been year 5. The idea was born all because of an article that was put out by Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street put out an article back in 2014 or 13, if I remember, about 14 maybe, about the 12 or 14 best Black owned wines and spirits you should know about. I was thrilled just to see that Fou-Dre was on their list. I was like, oh, we made the list. But when I looked at the list, I realized that maybe 80% of the brands I've never heard of. I didn't even know who they were. And that made me, think to myself, because for a while I thought I was alone in this industry as far as when I started at 25, I walked into a room most of the time and I was the only African-American woman in the room, right? And so when I saw that there were other African-American people on this list that I just didn't know about, I'm like, man, I need to get to know some of these people. But what really happened was a lot of people started writing back in to Black Wall Street when they put that article out there, and they were trying to say like, hey, you forgot about us, we're out here. And they re-released their article and they just listed out those other brands. And it was about another 20 plus brands. And I'm like, wow. And I didn't know any of those brands. And I'm like, wow, okay. So one of my employees, they came up with an idea about creating a platform for highlighting these brands, showcasing these brands. And that idea pretty much took off. We've been in a position where people didn't know who we were. And so I thought it was a great idea for us to create a platform, make consumers aware that, hey, while you're out here buying, say, Ciroc, or while you're out here buying all these tequila brands, there's Black owned tequilas out here that you could, and I'm not saying that you have to spend your money with Black owned brands, but at least give them an opportunity, right? Try them out. You don't even know that they exist, but now that you do know, give them an opportunity to win your business. And that way we can kind of circulate the Black dollar for the most part. And so that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to give the brands a platform to say, hey, we're out here, know about us. A lot of the brands that participate, they're not even from the DMV, which is awesome. We like to bring in as many brands as possible from across the United States. And if we can, we like to secure distribution for them here if they have interest in that, and then just make the attendees that come to the festival, make them aware, like, hey, if you want these brands, if they're not in your local liquor store, we can make that happen as well. So that's what the festival is all about. We plan to keep it going and bring it to new markets. Next year, we're looking to bring it to Texas. Texas is one of the markets that has been asking for us to bring the festival there for some time now. And so we're gonna head there in the spring of 2021 and then come right back to DC. DC is the flagship. We'll always do the festival here in September in DC. But we're bringing it to 2 times a year next year. And we're gonna start with Texas being the first new market that we bring it to. So
you're part of Texas.
We're still trying to figure that out. It's gonna between Houston, somewhere, we're working with the distributor to find the best location. That is not our market, so we have to work with our partners to see what makes the most sense, what's gonna bring in the most business, and where attendees will more likely come, right? What city. So we're still working out those details, but we plan to release some information on this very soon.
How exciting. And I love that it's Texas, because I feel like, it could be Atlanta, it could be like LA, but Texas is not like somewhere that you hear a lot about. So that's exciting. And then also Beyonce's from Houston. So if I have to put in a bid, I'm going to go Houston, right? For Houston. And then maybe, Jay-Z can bring his whatever. Whatever. Right. So that's my vote.
Okay. Well, it's a lot of us in Texas. You'd be so surprised that the amount of inquiries we get from people in Texas saying, "When are you bringing the festival here?" Texas has to be the next market, and it's just like, okay, just based on the data that we've curated over the last 5 years, we pretty much narrowed it down to Texas being that new market. So they're going to be the first.
Well, thank you for letting me know. I can start looking for plane tickets and hotels before they get booked up. And, after COVID is over.
I know.
But yeah, I love to hear you talk about just bringing Black people together and just allowing people the opportunity to showcase their products, to circulate those Black dollars. I think that's super important. Like you said, just giving them a chance. And I think part of, the reason why I wanted to do these interviews was just even to bring brand awareness to, people. Like they may not see, Fou-Dre vodka on their shelf today, but if they go to DC, if they come to DC to visit, they'll see it on their shelves and be like, oh, let me pick up this because I've seen this online. So I think it's super important to even just make people aware of your product. And like I said, when I went to the Black-owned Wine and Spirits Festival last year, it was such like a mind awakening thing. I was like, oh my God, there are so many. And not even just the Black spirit brands that you brought, but like the food brands, the entertainment, the hosts, the PR people. Like it's a production. And so, even for you just to put on such a massive event, I think it helps a lot of people's careers. So
most definitely. I mean, listen, if we don't kind of come together and bind together, we'll all remain stagnant. You know what I'm saying? In order for us to kind of rise, we have to kind of come together to make that happen. And just in the spirit industry alone, I've been in it for 10 plus years. A lot of the brands that I've been introduced to in the last, I'll say 5 years have really just started. And I'm in a position where I can give as much advice as possible, kind of deter them from the pitfalls that I fell into, and kind of pay it forward for the most part. I'm still literally trying to grow my brand, but in the midst of all of that, I'm trying to help others grow their brand as well, because we spend money and we consume alcohol a lot, and it just makes no sense to me that we spend that money with organizations or companies that aren't doing anything for our communities, and so if we can just even take half of that, what we spend with other companies that ain't doing nothing for us, and spend it with our own, we can definitely be in a far better place. So whatever I can do to make that happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you have a good product. Like, it's not even like, oh, let me just buy this because it's Black owned. But right. Yeah, but also it's right. Delicious. And so,
and that's what. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because you have some people that'll say, they'll just buy it because it's Black owned, and you have some people that'll say, well, why should I buy it just because it's Black owned? If it's not good quality, then why should I buy it? And that's the stigma. They automatically put this stigma on it that it's going to be of low quality, low grade, and that's by far not true. I've come across so many brands that are just starting, just like myself, and they have great. When I say great products, I mean great products, better than half of the stuff that's out on the shelf today. And people just have to this is why the festival is there, to create the awareness, because you just have to taste these products. If you don't taste them, you'll never know, and you'll have that connotation in your mind about, oh, if it's Black owned, it must be low grade. We create products for us. Products are created by us, but they're for everybody. They're not just for Black people. You know what I'm saying? White people love our products. Spanish people. It's really not about that. It's just about giving these brands an opportunity, creating space in this market for us African Americans, and understanding that we're just not consumers. So.
Absolutely. And I 100% stand behind, like, all the interviews I've done so far are products like that I have actually tasted and actually enjoy. And it's like, okay. If I enjoy it, I know other people will too. I feel like I'm the consummate consumer. And so, yeah, absolutely. Just because it's Black owned doesn't necessarily mean it's that lesser quality, which I think people Yeah, had this misconception. But not only is it black owned, but it's delicious. So
Right.
you make a great point. Um, so I hear that you also have a distribution company, like you
I
mentioned
do.
before. I talked with Ben Carter of Tolero, and he mentioned it to me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I had no idea that she was also in the distribution business. So tell me how, why you started that and what.
Here's the thing. So that only started because when we first started with our brand, we went through 2 distributors in Maryland in less than a year. And we went through 2 distributors because they weren't really vested in our product. They were literally just our delivery person. So they weren't making any sales. They weren't doing anything to help us grow the brand. And if you know anything about distribution, it's kind of up to the distributor to help get your product to market. That's why they're there. Obviously, you as a brand and as a company have to do your marketing and promotional efforts and certain activations, but their job is to help get your product to market, right? That's the whole 3-tier, what the whole 3-tier system is about. Then we realized that we were doing all the legwork, and we would just call them saying, such and such has a delivery, has an order, can you make this delivery? And that's all they were doing. So we cut them out. We got our own distribution license, and we started self-distributing Fou-Dre. That way we can price it. And of course, they were marking our product up so high just based off how it looks. They're like, oh, we're gonna mark this up because this looks very high. And that's what the retailers do as well. And our product is actually a product that is affordable, between 34, and you might see it in DC to 44, but you have some places that has us at 59, and they're doing that all based on how the product looks, right? Anyway, I say all that to say, we started self-distributing Fou-Dre, and because we have that distribution license, as we started putting on the festival and we saw how well certain brands were doing at the festival, we said, well, maybe we should pick them up. They're not selling in DC and Maryland. Let's see if they have any interest in becoming, in bringing their product to this market. As a small brand, you don't want to spread yourself too thin, and you don't want to get into a lot of markets too soon because you're going to have the dollars to back it up. So we definitely don't try to rush products to come into a market that they're not ready for. But the ones that we see that do very well at the festival, we tend to kind of reach out and say, hey, do you have any interest? Or they'll reach out to us and say, hey, do you know anybody that's that would like to pick us up? And we say, we're your guy, we're your girl. And so we currently have a good 8 or 9 brands in our portfolio. Not all of our products are black owned, but 90% of them are. So
what are they, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, so right now we have another vodka in our portfolio. We have, I'll show you a couple. We have Hidden Spirits.
Oh yes, I love Hidden Spirits.
We have Hidden Spirits in our portfolio.
Yes.
So we distribute Hidden Spirits. We also have Whiskey Right.
Oh yes, Whiskey Right.
We also have Whiskey Right in our portfolio.
DC, right?
It's like
the Cherrywood whiskey.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have Whiskey Right. We also have Durante Rum in our portfolio.
Is that black owned?
Yes, it is. But so I'm showing you all black owned products right now.
Oh, I don't have them on my list. I need to add them to my list.
We also have Den of Thieves whiskey in our portfolio as well, and we have a line of wines, Ivana wines that's coming. Maybe 8 or 9 different SKUs that we'll be distributing. But Zachary, black importer, he's an importer, and he's bringing some great quality wines. We also have Markel Bonnie.
Oh, I think they were at the Spirits Festival last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we have 716 Vodka. These are the black-owned products that we have.
Wow, I don't have 2 of those on my spirits list. I need to add them.
Yes. So Markel, 716, Den of Thieves, Durante, Hidden Spirits. Those are all the black-owned products that we distribute that I have.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. So as a black woman, do you feel like you have encountered any roadblocks in this industry? And
of course. Of course. I, as a woman in this industry, period, I've I've stumbled upon a lot of different roadblocks. This is a male-dominated industry, and to be frank, it's a white male-dominated industry. So me trying to make headway in this industry has been completely difficult. I'll give you an example. And the bigger brands, they pretty much kind of mafia the industry for the most part. And I don't want to say that, but that's really what it is. Prime example, we would take our product into certain nightclubs and they would love it and they would want to pick it up. And you know what they would tell us? But we have a contract with Ciroc and we're contractually obligated to sell X amount of cases a month. And if we bring your product in and it cuts into those sales, then we're not holding up our contractual obligation. And so that puts us in a situation where we have to start going after the smaller lounges, because the bigger guys, if we have to go to war with them, the club doesn't want to do business with them. They rather, their money is with the bigger guys. So just that in itself is a roadblock that I think we face. As a woman in this industry, I think that a lot of the owners and decision makers are men and they don't take you seriously, right? So I have a team of women for the most part. My team is full of women.
Girl power.
Yeah. And so, they'll go out and, they'll try to solicit business, whether it be on or off premise, and just the different responses. And men tend to look at women differently, either not take them seriously or look at them as a sex object. These are the things I have to deal with. Not me personally, but people on my staff. So it's just, it's not easy. Whereas a black male, they might not face some of the issues that women face. They'll face the issues of a black person, right? Or, being a minority, but not so much as a man. Man to man, I think they can talk and they can work some things out. But when they look at, the women, if they're not looking at them as a sex object, is what is this woman really doing? This is a man's world. What is she doing? So it has had its challenges. I definitely can say that.
Yeah, I mean, just that intersectionality is crucial for Black women. I mean, not even just in the spirits industry, just in life.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely can understand that.
Yes.
So if you could have done anything differently, would you have?
Yes, I would have. If I could look back and tell my 25-year-old self, or give my 25-year-old self some advice, it would be to kind of really, really look into this industry and what you're really trying to achieve. And I say that to say, when I first started this, if you asked me at the time, 10 years later, if I would still be where I am, I would never have thought that. But the more and more as years go by and I'm still in the industry, I've seen brands come and go, brands that were created before, after me and are not here today. Maintaining status in this industry is hard, and because it's consuming not only financially but time. It's a lot, and so I would just tell myself, figure out what you're really trying to do, because my mindset has changed completely on what my goals and expectations are now than what they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I would have wanted to be everywhere. Now that's not so much the goal. It's more so picking out little small niche markets and seeing where we fit, and seeing what I can do to help others, achieve what I've been able to achieve. So I'm more so for the people now than so much myself, and trying to do whatever I can so that we all can rise together. Because the way I look at it is, there are Black-owned distributors, there are Black-owned restaurants, bars, clubs, and liquor stores, and there are Black-owned brand owners. And there's no reason why a Black-owned distributor shouldn't be distributing Black-owned products. And there's no reason why a Black-owned restaurant shouldn't have Black-owned products on its shelf. It just makes no sense to me. And if we're all in this industry, why aren't we helping each other? And so, it's really about challenging these individuals. I have one employee. She'll go to she'll go into a establishment and really challenge guys and say, why don't you have Black-owned brands on your show?
Right.
And have them answer that question, right? So yeah, it's definitely it's something we have to do more of. Hold people accountable. So.
Yes, I love that, and I love that as you are trying to grow your brand awareness, you're bringing other people along. That's great to hear.
Yeah, most definitely.
What's next for Fou-Dre, and what is next for the Black-owned Wine and Spirits Festival? Like, where do you see this in 5-10 years?
So Fou-Dre, we're currently focused on, with COVID, obviously everybody's focus is on different things. Obviously we're trying to build our product internationally and trying to expand there. And so we're forging some relationships with duty free and hoping to get our product into duty free. I'm a huge fan of duty free only because I travel a lot, drink like you travel, right? And I travel a lot and I go through duty free a lot. And because I go through duty free, I'm always looking for products that I know I won't be able to get when I'm home. So
I do the same thing.
Yeah. So because of that, I'm excited about the potential for Fou-Dre landing duty free, because I know it's going to be one of those things people passing through the airport and they'll stop in their tracks like, what's that? And they're going to go pick it up just so they can take, because they probably haven't seen it back home.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that. I hope it comes to fruition. We're in conversations right now. So if that happens, that'll be awesome. As far as the festival, like I mentioned earlier, we're looking to do it twice a year. So next year will be the first year where we do this twice a year debut, and Texas will be the first city for that. So we're excited about that.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Fou-Dre on many shows, and I'm wishing you much success. I think it's amazing, like what you're doing. Like really, I really do. Even just putting other brands on and hosting such a great festival. Like last year, it was at
Doc 5.
Doc 5, yes, and even that, like, it was great. It was a nice venue. So many people came.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to just seeing it explode. And,
yeah.
Following you.
Our goal is to take that international as well, because there are a lot of African Americans, or not. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Blacks in this space in other countries. So we've identified proprietors of wines and spirits across the country, not here in the across the globe, should I say, not domestically, that we would like to, eventually bring our festival to a whole nother country and kind of highlight some of those brands, right?
Yes, it would be like a whole weekend experience, like
yeah, exactly.
Traveling.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. And where that's going to be, we have a good idea, but we're kind of saving that before we make that announcement. So we have a good idea where it's going to be, though.
Where can people find Fou-Dre, and where can they find you online?
So Fou-Dre, if you're in the DMV, obviously you can go to our website and put in your zip code, and it'll give you the closest retailer to you. If you're outside of the DMV, you can also go to our website and order online and have it shipped to you. There are about 8 states that our online retailer does not ship to, just because those are state laws and they're control states. But any other state that's not control, we can ship to. So if you're somewhere outside of the DMV and you want a bottle of this Purple Lightning Bolt, you can always order it online. Yes. As far as online, we're at Fou-Dre Vodka on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So you can find us there as well. For the Black-owned Wine and Spirit Festival, it's bowlsfest.com, and you can get all your information as far as the festival there. So.
Awesome. That's so great to hear. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, always. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.